They could describe everything with one single word. You know, like this podcast. Gnarly. Welcome back to Friday Morning Arcade. I am finally over my tuberculosis, and I am back being your host, Brady Keith, and as always, my co-host.
You replaced me, Wad, but it's fine. Anyways, my name's Nick Ryan.
I'm Canton Roberts.
And today we will be covering not just one,
not just
two,
two, but
three
three of the greatest fighting games in all of history. That's right. We are talking about the game that was released in November 26th of 1997 straight into the arcades. We are talking about Dead or Alive 1, 2, and 3.
Well, let's slow it down here. Let's slow it down,
brother.
Okay, I just like to say this because I'm sick and tired of pretending that's not. I like Dead or Alive, but by the Lord's graces, as a fighting game and as just amongst all of the other, especially 3D fighters,
Watch yourself now.
this is trash.
Watch yourself.
This
Watch
is
yourself.
Trash. This is the raccoon in the backyard in the garbage looking for the last cheeseburger.
These are some fighting words. We might not have Nick on the podcast for 18 months. He might catch tuberculosis.
No, do it. I dare you.
Get off your phone.
Hold on, I'm looking something up.
We're mid-podcast recording.
Don't worry, it's on topic. Yeah, the best fighting game of all time is Injustice.
Is it really? Are we kidding? No shot.
Yep, Injustice is the best fighting game, and I totally believe this as a fighting game expert.
Injustice? Not even in NJ2? Just NJ1.
Only in J1, yes.
Ew.
Shazam.
Yeah.
Ew.
Booyah.
Okay, anyway, back to topic. Today you remember our Soul Calibur formats. Today we are covering 1 through 3, giving our takes, our interpretations of them, how we feel about the games, like how we think they're designed, how we think they play. Just basically giving you an in-depth video overview of 1 through 3. So we're going to throw up an intro card here. And today this little, for future me and Nick, this whole section is our title card section for 1 that we are about to go in 3, 2. All right, it is finally time to talk about these games. We've talked about them in every other fighting game we have covered. It is time for Dead or Alive 1.
So I'm going to kind of take the wheel here. So Dead or Alive 1 is a very interesting first game. A lot of big fighting game franchises, which Canton can't even probably name 2 of them.
Tekken.
Okay.
Smash Bros.
Ooh.
Is that really a fighting game, though?
Is Smash Bros.
Injustice.
Smash Bros. Is a
That's
platform
only
brawler.
2. Okay.
Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He has
Besides
2.
that. All right. He has his 2. All right. Back to.
So, with a lot of those types of games, your first game isn't really a game itself. It's more like a demo of the second game. Street Fighter 1 is kind of a prototype of what Street Fighter 2 would be. Tekken 1, Tekken 2, so on and so forth. With Dead or Alive 1, I feel like this is the most fleshed out first fighting game in a franchise I have ever played.
Which, it's kind of crazy to think about it because it was built on Sega Model 2, which, for those of you who don't know, Sega is an old console. You know, like all your Sonic stuff, it came from Sega. It's something that hasn't been around for a long time, and to think that this game was made and built on a Sega console and platform, it's kind of interesting and cool because most games nowadays are Unreal 5 or like what's another one that they use?
I'm not really sure what other type of visual engines. I just know Unreal. But,
Yeah.
But Yeah, the whole thing is that what's really interesting to me is how Sega really, like, even after the downfall of all of their stuff with the Sonic, I mean, let's be honest, after the 90s, the Sonic games really...
But we still have Yakuza.
What,
we
man?
still have
You
Yakuza.
don't like Sonic versus Shadow?
Well, now there's a difference, though, between Sega, the publisher, and the developer, and
Yeah.
Sega, the console maker, and, like,
yeah.
hardware maker.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to see how Sega has always kind of had this grip on the industry in so many different pillars. Like I said before, like the hardware, also, you know, the developer side and the publisher side. So to see Sega, which at that time Sega had just released Virtua Fighter, not even a couple years before that, and then a couple years after Virtua Fighter was Tekken 1, and then after that was Dead or Alive. To see how Sega, even though they might not have directly developed a lot of these games, they have had some sort of influence in them, which I think is a perfect, you know, way to kind of encapsulate the greatness of Sega. So I want to hand it over to Canton, because you're kind of the person looking in. After you've
like us, because you are that person looking in. You're window shopping, as we could call it.
yeah.
Because you've only played the demo of 6.
Yes. When I first looked at Dead or Alive 6, it was very interesting to me for multiple reasons. I like the fighting, like the core gameplay. I like the counters. That's new. I like how it's harder to juggle people, I feel like, in the games than like Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter. How you actually have to like time your combos more, and you can't just spam.
One thing that with Dead or Alive 1, so they made a lot of advancements, especially whenever it comes to like the approach to combat, especially within the 3D fighting genre. One of them are the environmental combos. So if your opponent steps or lands on a certain spot in the arena, they'll pop up into the air so that way you can juggle them, which oddly enough wasn't a big thing until Mortal Kombat.
I think it's 10 is
Yeah.
is really when that style of environmental fighting popped off, was MK10.
Yeah, and so the fact that you see it like all the way from here, like back to 94, and it wasn't really touched on until 2012, early 2010s, it's super interesting. And like you said before, the whole idea of like the counter attacking really wasn't a popular thing until way later on in other fighting games. I think that it's one of those games that if you're looking for, because as you go on throughout the games, some of the systems can kind of muggle up the way that you that was crazy, the way that you I think
What
that
was
the
that?
chord. Yeah, I think that was the chord. Yeah, because like if you
Okay.
but yeah, if you look at like Dead or Alive 6, how some of the basics are kind of just like built into everything. With Dead or Alive 1, if you're someone that wants to kind of get into the typology of what Dead or Alive is and its systems at its core, Dead or Alive 1 is a perfect example of that. Which, yes, go play it if you have never, or if you're someone that kind of wonders, like, taking out all of the, you know, bells and whistles of the later series, like what it means, you know, at that very basic level. Dead or Alive 1 is.
Yeah, with Dead or Alive, with Dead or Alive 1, it goes to the simple triangle system, which is punch, choke, and kick or something like that. So it completely like resets your brain, because with these newer later games, it's all about XX, up, down, forward, L3, L2, L1 at the same time, combos. But with this, you have just this simple, very simple triangle system, and it's refreshing but also challenging in a way, because your brain is so used to, I have to time these combos and I have to hit these exact buttons and at this exact moment, and I have to follow through or I could get punished. In this game, the way you got punished was just very simple. You misstepped somewhere and then they could get you. Like, it's such a very different and almost really, I don't know. It's just a very different style of a fighting game. It's a very like fast-paced, simple fighting game, which like you don't get anymore. Like, you get the fast pace, but it's not really simple, because like MK1 and MK11, my brain is like, oh my gosh, I gotta double tap the up arrow. I gotta hit X, A, and B all at the same time. I gotta hit L1 and L2 right after, and then this is just simple as just the triangle system of kick, punch, and choke.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me because, like I said before, there's a lot of connections with Tekken 1 and Virtua Fighter and Dead or Alive. What's really interesting to me is that Dead or Alive really doesn't have any type of inspiration from Tekken 1. And it's more like control scheme wise, it's more under the Street Fighter formula, which is regular punch and regular kick. But instead of having like the extra like light punch, light kick, medium punch, a medium kick, and so on and so forth, you have 2 buttons for, attacking and 1 button for grappling. And to me, it's kind of like a simplistic approach to that Street Fighter, control scheme, which it's really hard for me to wrap my head around this game, because when I had played it, I had kind of approached it as like, okay, I'm just going to kind of learn a couple combos and that's it. But I went in and like I legitimately like enjoyed playing it, and I enjoyed it just as much as, Dead or Alive 3 or 4 and 5 and 6 and maybe 7. But it's such an interesting like combat and like gameplay. I want to hand it over to Canton. What's your thoughts on the visuals?
Interesting. Very full of life. Very
Remember
colorful.
now, we are on a school podcast.
Yes.
So what I'll say, anyone who's played it, that's the elephant in the room. Aside from that, right? Instead of talking about purely about character design.
Actually, you're the graphics guy over here, bucko.
Well, no, because I have my opinion on it, but for someone who maybe hasn't played all of the series, you kind of have a different approach. Yeah.
You got the outside look to it all. You got that window shoppers, like, you can look but you can't touch vibe to it.
Which
Canton,
is
the window shopper.
My feeling with this game, look but don't touch. I kind of just go back to the gameplay. I heard someone say that's like rock, paper, scissors. That you have to like be like something.
It's reactionary, but it's also being able yeah.
But yeah, I will say that the set design for most of the maps did look pretty well. Did look pretty good. I did hate that in one of the games, the last boss fight of the story, they have an ugly filter over it. I think it's like Omega, if that's his name.
Oh, yeah. I forgot what game that would have been in.
I think it was 2.
Okay, 2. Okay.
But like, I don't like filters over fighting games. I did not like how I want to say 3. They have like an ice mission or ice level.
Yeah.
And it's like very unsatisfying 6, 7, uneven playing ground.
Oh, okay.
Like how it
okay.
kind of like slopes up.
Yeah,
Did not
yeah.
like that because I know that also affects gameplay. Going back to that, but overall, from just like you watching a YouTube video and playing a demo of a game that we're not even talking about, the map design does look very fun but simple and very like close. I feel like it's a small map.
It very much is. The best way I can explain for the people who don't really or who don't really know the game, a lot of your areas remind me of like the Cell games from Dragon Ball Z. Like that kind of like platformed up a little bit with the squares, and you know it's kind of that like, which I think that's actually the training area. Yeah, I don't really think that it's necessarily as good as what Soul Calibur was.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel. Like, don't get me wrong, the graphics are nice, but some of the maps feel like you took two New York City rats, put them in a pizza box, and dropped a piece of cheese in between them and watched them fight. Because some of the maps, they felt way
they're
too
super
close.
flat.
It's like
yeah.
that one SpongeBob episode where him and Patrick are in the box and
Yeah.
Squidward keeps getting mad because like
Yeah.
in the box. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of that.
But don't get me wrong, like I'm just thinking of like the beach map, and that was like really well done. Like the blues, the sands, like for a game that's like put on arcade and it came out in 1997, it was really well at showing the colors and like showing the different 3D animation styles of like how you could do things on such not like a 3D full blown like in your face experience in a way.
Yeah, and that's something with the like character designs that I always kind of felt like they did really good. My like it's kind of my thoughts with like going from the PlayStation 1 approach to graphics and PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2 had this really weird thing to where like they couldn't do crisp like character assets, so instead character models, so what they basically did was they just started putting flat assets on polygons, and so it basically looked like Wrestling Revolution 3D.
Oh,
Like
What a
it
throwback.
it is very like the faces on a lot of those characters were like just basically a drawing that someone had did, and they just laid it on there without any type of like depth to the actual face. With PlayStation 1, what they did instead was, instead of making the actual faces, a lot of the time they just used alternative shading, and so what that did was that gave the characters volume and all that stuff, but it also didn't look like none of the assets looked as flat as what they were supposed to be.
Not a lot of the people were flat.
Yeah.
yeah, because like we might throw up this picture, but like it's a picture I found of the beach map that I was talking about and two characters fighting. It almost made them not like the triangle graphics you're so used to, like what you were saying with
Yeah,
like
like the
PlayStation, the
polygons, yeah.
polygons and the triangles. It made it feel like they were trying to full flush out and give a character like depth and like make it look like an actual arm or like a leg. And that's honestly really like, I don't want to say groundbreaking, but it is in a way, because most of the fighting games of this generation were just like the basic polygon pixel 8-bit styles.
Yeah, even with like Tekken 1, whenever I was doing research on that game, a lot of the character designs on that game were very animated, where like I said before, like you could kind of tell that like they were just basically drawings, and then they placed it onto the asset, and then they built the character model around that. Where that one, it looks like they like there's not a lot of detail with those character models. Mm-hmm. But what they have though is that they have a really nice 3D aspect because of it. And which is something that I may give a lot of flack to, a lot of the original 3D fighting games because of its graphics, but I bet it was harder than nails trying to create a game that, like, you had to, like, if you were going to switch a side to a character, then you had to make sure that that asset was loaded in, and on top of that, you're basically working with this dinosaur technology.
Yeah, because wasn't this like Tecmo? Like Tecmo is the producer of all the Dead or Alive games, but if I'm remembering correctly, the reason it's called Dead or Alive is because Tecmo was like, they were struggling. They're like, this is their make or break game.
Yes.
Like, so it's so amazing to see what they have accomplished. They went from like, we're struggling, I don't know what to do, let's just try this game, and then they just kept going and going, and it felt like they put everything that they could. It's like they're like, if we're going out swinging.
Yeah. And I think that because of that, what I can say for a lot of game developers is that whenever, like, game developers succeed the most and they work hardest when they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Bethesda. Bethesda.
The Forvid.
Yeah. And so because of that, I think that that first Dead or Alive really, going in, like I said before, like, it really exceeded my expectations. But is there anything you guys wanted to add in?
No, I just it is also, I guess we could talk about it a little bit. It's very different because like Tekken and like Mortal Kombat 1, all those went to like PlayStation first.
Yes.
This game went to
Xbox.
No, shush.
PlayStation.
It
PlayStation and Sega Saturn.
No. Sega Saturn, then PlayStation.
So it went.
In 97 or 8. So it went 97 into arcades. 98 was the Sega Saturn, and then I think May of 98 is when it went to all the PlayStations.
Okay.
I forgot which one. Which one was it? 3 that was the Xbox exclusive.
Yes. Yeah. 3 was.
3 is when it started becoming Xbox exclusives.
Yeah. But yeah, and like any type of rounding up thoughts that you guys.
I mean, I did think, and this isn't talking about Dead or Alive, but the best fighting game ever, Stickman.
Okay.
Every Stickman fighting game.
All right. So yeah, on that note,
that was Dead or Alive 1.
2. Wait, no.
We're just doing 1 right now. I'm trying to skip out on 2 and 3.
Yeah, I meant to do that on purpose.
Get out. No. But yeah. So now we're going to go to Dead or Alive Dose.
So we did some little talking. You might see it on Boys from the Pods, but we are actually going to go ahead and end the episode here. What you could say about this episode in this game is that it can be described as one single word: gnarly. But thank you so much for joining us on the pod today. I'm Brady Keith.
I am Nick Ryan.
And I am Canton Roberts.
And yeah, that's right. This dude replaced him.
Yeah, I'm back. All right. Anyway.
Man.
Deuces.
Ooses. Yay!